The crisp autumn air nipped at Elena's face as she navigated the bustling Chicago airport. Her heels clicked a steady rhythm against the polished floor, a counterpoint to the murmur of departing travelers. As a seasoned flight attendant, Elena had a sixth sense for navigating airports, finding shortcuts through terminal mazes and memorizing gate locations by heart. 5 years in the sky had honed her instincts, making her as familiar with airports as the lines on her palms. Her route for the evening started with Denver, winding through Las Vegas before culminating in a late-night arrival back in Chicago. A quick connection in Denver meant a tight turnaround, so Elena wasted no time getting acquainted with her co-worker, Sarah, a whirlwind of energy who seemed to know everyone at the airport. "Did you hear? There's a new coffee place in Gate C," Sarah chirped, her eyes sparkling behind her Ray-Bans. "Apparently the owner is some famous NBA player's wife." Elena smiled indulgently. Sarah's endless chatter was like background noise to Elena, a comfortable hum that never quite grew tiresome. As the trio of flight attendants prepared for boarding, the passengers slowly trickled in, each bringing their own story, their own melody to the symphony of travelers. Among them was Mia. The moment she stepped off the escalator, Elena's gaze snagged on her. In the sea of hurried travelers, Mia stood out, not because of anything flashy she wore, but because of the quiet confidence that radiated from her. It was like she moved with the grace of a dancer, her steps light and sure. She was beautiful, not in the conventional sense of the word, but in the way a watercolor painting is beautiful, subtle, nuanced, and breathtakingly real. Her honey-brown hair cascaded down her shoulders like melted caramel, and her eyes, large and curious, held the color of rich earth. She wasn't trying to be noticed, yet her presence commanded attention without drawing attention. Something about Mia tugged at Elena, pulling her gaze like a magnet. Even from afar, Elena could see the fine brush strokes that painted Mia's character, the gentle curve of her smile, the thoughtful furrow of her brow, the way she traced patterns on the worn fabric of her backpack. While Elena was captivated by Mia from afar, her partner, Sarah, was engaged in her own observations. She watched Mia settle into the row by the window, her eyes twinkling with amusement. Elena caught her partner's mischievous grin and followed her gaze to Mia, curiosity piqued. Their eyes met and Mia offered a shy smile, her cheeks flushing slightly. Elena quickly looked away, surprised by the sudden heat that rushed to her cheeks. Was it just Mia's easy smile, or was there something more? Something in the way their eyes had locked for a brief moment that set Elena's heart racing? As the flight attendants made their way through the aisles, offering greetings and checking tickets, Elena couldn't help but steal glances at Mia. She noticed how the afternoon sunlight highlighted the golden strands in Mia's hair and how her eyes seemed to absorb the vastness of the sky as the plane gained altitude. Over the engine's gentle hum, Elena heard Mia chuckle softly, her voice like the chime of a wind chime. Intrigued, Elena leaned closer to the row, catching snippets of a lively conversation. Mia's companion was a man named Liam, his voice warm and resonant, a nice counterpoint to Mia's airy tones. They spoke about art, Elena gathered, and about a place called Willow Creek, a name that sounded like a secret whispered between trees. As the flight continued, Elena found herself drawn to Mia's energy. She had a lightness about her, a zest for life that was infectious. Through the hum of conversation, Elena could sense Mia's enthusiasm as she described something on a sketchpad, her words tumbling over each other in excitement. Later, when the lunch rush subsided, Elena made her way back to Mia's row. An unexpected jolt of electricity shot through her when their eyes met. Elena felt her breath hitch in her throat and she quickly averted her gaze, chalking up the sudden reaction to a momentary lapse in judgment. Gathering herself, Elena leaned in, attempting a casual demeanor. "Enjoying the view?" she asked, gesturing to the expansive vista of cloud formations below them. Mia turned to Elena, her eyes shining with amusement. "It's incredible, isn't it?" Elena managed a smile, her heart doing a wild jig in her chest. "First time flying?" Elena ventured, hoping to break the ice. Mia nodded. "Yes. Solo anyway. I usually travel with friends, but they couldn't make it this time." Elena nodded understandingly. Traveling alone could be daunting, but also liberating. She remembered her first solo flight, the mix of nerves and exhilaration that came with it. "Studying abroad?" Elena asked, recognizing the international accent in Mia's voice. Mia's smile widened, revealing a dimple in her left cheek. "I am. I'm from London." "Small world," Elena said, surprised. "My grandparents are from just outside London. They always speak so fondly of the place." Mia's eyes twinkled. It's got its charm. So what brings you to Willow Creek? Elena asked, knowing that Mia's destination was the source of her earlier glimpse into the art conversation. Mia's eyes lit up. It's an artist residency program. I applied and got accepted. My art focuses on landscapes and I want to experience the place I paint. Sounds wonderful, Elena breathed, imagining the picturesque landscapes that inspired Mia's art. As the conversation flowed, Elena found herself opening up to Mia in ways she hadn't anticipated. She spoke about her travels, not just the places she'd been to, but the moments that had touched her soul along the way. She shared stories about chance encounters with locals that had taught her more about life than any textbook could. In turn, Mia spoke about her dreams, her aspirations to exhibit her work in galleries that echoed with history and culture. Elena listened, hanging on every word, captivated by the passion that shone through Mia's voice. When the cabin lights dimmed, signaling the start of dinner service, Elena felt a pang of disappointment. The easy camaraderie she'd found with Mia was a welcome distraction from the routine of her life. As Elena served meals, her thoughts drifted back to Mia. She couldn't help but wonder what Mia was doing, whether she was absorbed in a book or gazing out the window at the ever-changing canvas of clouds. Rounding the corner of the aisle, Elena spotted Mia sketching in a notebook. The sight warmed Elena's heart, reminding her of the vibrancy that colored Mia's world. For a moment, Elena simply watched, mesmerized by the focused expression on Mia's face as her pencil danced across the page. Later, as the plane prepared for landing, Elena found herself drawn once again to Mia's side. This time, Mia was gazing out the window, her brow furrowed slightly as she studied the sprawling landscape below. Almost there, Elena said softly, wanting to linger near Mia a while longer. Mia turned, her eyes shining with gratitude. Thank you for making the journey less daunting, she said, her voice sincere. What do you mean? Elena asked, puzzled. Mia's gaze dropped to the sketchbook in her lap. Well, being away from home, it can be nerve-wracking. You've made it feel like a familiar space too. Elena blushed, realizing that their chance encounters had created a bond that transcended the confines of their shared flight. As the plane touched down, both women knew that their paths were about to diverge. Standing at the gate, Elena watched Mia gather her things, her silhouette framed by the bright lights of the arrival hall. Here, Elena said, reaching into her pocket to retrieve a small card. She'd scribbled her number on the back of a business card, a silent invitation to keep in touch. Mia turned, her eyes widening in surprise. Oh, I didn't think to ask for your number, she said, taking the card. Don't mention it, Elena replied, hoping her usual confidence wasn't overshadowed by her suddenly shaky hands. Keep in touch, Mia said, echoing Elena's sentiment. With a final wave, Mia disappeared into the bustling crowd, leaving Elena with the echoes of her laughter and the promise of a connection that had only just begun. And as Elena turned to leave, she couldn't help but smile. Sometimes the most unexpected journeys led to the most beautiful destinations, and this flight was no exception. From the moment their eyes had met across the aisle, there was a spark between them, a recognition that went beyond their shared love of travel. They'd laughed together, confided in each other, and forged a bond that felt deeper than the fleeting interactions that often marked her flights. Now, with Mia's sketchbook as a reminder of their connection, Elena knew that their paths might converge again someday. And when they did, it wouldn't just be a chance encounter on a flight. It would be a reunion of kindred spirits who'd found solace and companionship in the most unlikely of places, 35,000 feet in the air, between the clouds and the stars.